sun is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We have all your action from the Can-Am 500, a 312-lap affair from the desert in Phoenix, Arizona.
NASCAR's Final Four will be decided in the Valley of the Sun. Phoenix International Raceway is a relatively flat one-mile racetrack. Let's be honest here, Kevin Harvick has owned this track for years, so let's tune in to find out who we think is going to try to dethrone Happy and keep him out of the Final Four.
Interesting fact here at Phoenix, Chevy has won the most races here. Since 2005, Chevy has won 18 of 22 races, with Kevin Harvick winning 8 of those 22, including 6 out of the last 8 races here.
It's supposed to be 78 degrees and sunny when we get dirty in the desert for racing action Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. With that said, it's time to get into our picks. Liehr, do the honors, buddy. No kid at home. Liehr is able to be loud. Adrian, give us your pick, buddy, for your burning rubber.
You know, I hate to pick this guy because I feel like everyone in the industry, in fact, I know everyone in the industry is going to tell you to pick this guy this weekend. There's a reason that everyone's on the same page this weekend because we're all telling you to pick Kevin Harvick. You know, Kevin Harvick's in a must-win situation. Over the past 2 seasons, Kevin Harvick's been in this same must-win situation, and they've actually came out on top. You know, honestly, the guy's ownership percentage, I think, will be about 60 to 65%, just because everyone's going to see his stats, and everyone's going to know that everyone's telling you to play the guy. And, you know, it's just insane the way how good this guy is. Like, this track is the exact definition of what you want, like, as far as matching Kevin Harvick's driving style. You know, over the last 9 races at Phoenix, he's recorded finishes of 2nd, 1st, 13th, 1st, 2nd, 1st. I mean, it's insane. It's like you're playing a video game with this guy when you come to the Phoenix International Raceway. I think the 4 team is going to come through clutch. I think they have to come through clutch if they're gonna do this. And you know, over the course of these races, if you look, they're not very long. Like Poppa said, it's 312 laps. Over his past 5 starts at Kansas, he's recorded laps led totals of 224 laps, 264 laps, 224 laps, 143 laps, 139 laps. So even if in that race that he finished 13th, he still led laps. So I don't really know that you can, you know, fade Kevin Harvick, you know, is what my gut's telling me. But honestly, I think that you have to have, even though I'm telling you that Kevin Harvick is the play, it's only really because we couldn't leave him out of the show just based on his stats. But I feel like we're all going to tell you when Jamie and Poppa get a second to speak on this. If you fade Kevin Harvick and everyone is on Kevin Harvick and Kevin Harvick has a problem, you're just hedging on all of those lineups. And the builds that you make, even if they're not as great, are going to obviously cash because they don't have Kevin Harvick on there. So in my opinion, even though I think Kevin Harvick is the lock, I'm not playing him 100%. I'm probably not even going to play him 75% because I know how beneficial it is if something happens to Kevin Harvick, how beneficial it could be if you don't have him.
Yeah, definitely, AW. Those are some great points on Harvick this week. I mean, it's insane to not play this guy this week because just his stats alone, and with the whole storyline of his back being against the wall, they have to win this race. They are 18 points behind. There's no other way. They have to win the race. That's their only way in. And the crazy part is he's never been eliminated since they've gone to this format. So this is by definition, you know, the clash at the Coliseum this weekend because they're going to have to bring it. They're going to have to bring their A game. Their pit crew is going to have to bring their A game. Just the whole entire team. And I don't know if they have it in them, man, to be honest with you. I mean, it really just depends on where he qualifies. But obviously, through his history, he's proven that it doesn't matter where he starts. He's going to make his way through the field, and he's going to win the race. So it just really depends on where he qualifies. And if he's up in the top, yeah, I mean, he's probably going to get a lot of those dominator points. and same thing if he qualifies maybe mid-pack, plus he gets place differential. But the thing is, there's some other storylines that are playing here, and I'll let Poppa get into that. But, I think that definitely having exposure on Harvick this week is going to be beneficial for everybody involved. But just like AW said, if you are a smart fantasy NASCAR daily player, you are going to have some fades because it's quite possibly that, something does happen and he goes negative this week.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you why I'm fading Harvick straight out here. And so we're going to lightly cover when I get there, like why I'm sending Austin Dillon to the garage. The reason why I'm going to be off Harvick is, first, let's talk game theory, right? Game theory says I either want to be on more of Harvick than the field or less than Harvick of the field. And I'm worried the field's going to own him at least 50%, maybe even upwards of to 70% because of his track history here. I think if you're going to have exposure to Harvick in like a 10 lineup format, I would probably be exposed to him no more than 2 times, right?
Yeah. I'd say at least in a 10 lineup format, I'd be comfortable playing him 4 times.
Yeah, see, but I want to get separated in theory. I want to get separated from the masses there, and like that's why. That's the first reason why you don't want to be on Harvick. The second reason, I think the main reason, is, and this throws every bit of his track history here out the window, in my opinion, is Austin Dillon is really upset with him after what happened last week. And Austin Dillon thinks that he intentionally wrecked and spun him out. And Austin Dillon came on the radio and said, well, our day may be done, but his championship is done. He's not winning next weekend. I guarantee it, basically, is what the radio...
I think Slugger Labby was more mad than Austin Dillon was.
Right, and so when Austin Dillon's conscience, the guy that keeps him in line, Slugger Labby, is more upset than Austin Dillon, this is why I think you're smart to fade Harvick this weekend, is I don't trust Austin Dillon not to get all crazy out there and wreck him. The problem is I don't know whether or not Austin Dillon's going to wreck him in the first 10 laps or in the last 10 laps. If Austin Dillon gets angry and wrecks him in the last 10 laps, you're going to have to own Harvick because he's going to dominate this race.
Even if he finishes last.
Yes. Like, he'll score 100 and some points, and you'll have to have him even with the last place finish. If he gets wrecked early, you are going to thank your lucky stars you faded Harvick, and you're going to watch your group of lineups rise to the top while everybody else is praying to God that the rest of their lineup takes over for that negative that you're going to get for Harvick. There's no
greater sight. That's like fading Earnhardt at Daytona, baby.
Right.
Well, and that's also saying that Austin Dillon's going to be in the same vicinity or area that Harvick is going to be at this weekend too. Oh, so I mean, there's some stars have to align to have that happen. But
no, they don't, dude. Trust me on this one. As somebody that watched Kenseth hit the brakes to get a lap down so he could take Logano into the wall last year and cost me thousands of dollars. Austin Dillon will find a way to wreck Harvick this weekend.
And they've got nothing left to lose either. I mean, the number 3 team has nothing to gain or lose from this. So it's all about personal vendetta, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
last week actually marked 1 year free for Matt Kenseth from his suspension. So congrats to Matt Kenseth on being off NASCAR probation.
There you go. But guys, that's why I'm advocating to fade Harvick, and Adrian had to take him as the burning rubber just because of his track dominance here. But so you're just going to have to make a decision this week on which way you want to go. That's why we're spending a little extra time on Harvick this week, because it's basically, I know we keep saying it to Harvick or not to Harvick, but this week it's even crazier than usual because of the Austin Dillon factor. Liehr, who do you have to burn some rubber? Let's quit talking about Harvick.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Oh, Joey Logano.
Oh, good Lord. We just lost 5 viewers.
All right, Joey Bag of Donuts Logano had a dominant car last week at Texas without the win, obviously, and he looks to carry that momentum into Phoenix this week. He needs to lock down, obviously, that final spot to Homestead, so look for that team to basically go all out this weekend. If he doesn't get the win, he needs at least a top 3 to still go, as he's sitting number 2 right now in the points. So him and Todd Gordon will be on his game. But specifically, too, Todd Gordon got fined $10,000 this week for a lug nut infraction following the post-race at Texas. So they've got some extra incentive this weekend to perform and get that spot. But Joey's got some good stats here at Phoenix. With 15 starts, he's got 0 wins, but he does have 3 top 5s and 8 top 10s. So he's going to be hungry to lock down that first win this weekend and lock in that spot there into the Homestead, into the championship. But at 10,200, it could be either way this week with him. Possibly be a low-no guy depending on where he qualifies at on this weekend. But Joey is seeking his first ever championship and will be a great option, for Dominator points this weekend. But he could be one of those guys too that could be overowned depending on where he qualifies. If he gets up front and qualifies first, I'm looking for his ownership percentage to be like it was last weekend, 35, 40%, somewhere in there, maybe even higher than that. But I just believe that number 22 Penske team's got the momentum this weekend. They've got a good team, and he just had a dominant car last week, and unfortunately, some things happened, and he couldn't take home the win. But I look for them to really bring it this weekend and lock in that spot into the Final Four.
Yeah, dude, Team Penske's been on fire as of late, and this Logano car has looked really fast on the track and has done a lot of good things. As long as that continues to happen through qualifying and practice, I have no problem rostering him nor building lineups around him. I think the right strategy this weekend, if my race vision is right, is going to be lineups built of chasers, not including Harvick. And you're going to have that right combination of guys that are driving with their backs against the wall, fighting for those last 2 spots. You're also going to see part of Team JGR and Jimmy Johnson also possibly racing to win to try to keep others out, right? Depending on what the cut lines are, there's a lot of interesting situations that can go down. I love the Logano play this week. I think he's a little bit too expensive, but sometimes that drives down ownership percentage. Sometimes it doesn't matter. I like where your head's at here, Liehr, and without any data yet for this weekend, I have 0 problems with you saying that you want to make Logano a main staple in your lineups. Adrian?
Hey man, I'm trying to go 2 for 2. I did it last week without qualifying.
I was actually going to say, speaking of Jamie's burning rubber pick, how about that shout out? Jamie picked Carl Edwards last week, so hopefully you guys listened to him. Unfortunately, I did not, so we'll try to do better this week. But I mean, I definitely love the Joey Logano play. And you're right; these guys that have their back against the wall, they definitely have a lot more to race for. And it seems like they're bringing faster cars. And I attended the Talladega race, and I was listening to the local radio shows after the race, and they interviewed Roger Penske after Joey had won the race. And on that radio show, Roger Penske talked about how since Brad Keselowski wasn't in the chase and he only had the one car in the chase being Joey Logano, they're actually going to put pretty much all the eggs in the Joey Logano basket. And Roger Penske is going to put all of their efforts and their funding and their research into the 22 car, into this race basically, because this is the race that culminates the entire season for Team Penske. Even, they're still bringing Brad's cars to the track, but this is going to decide whether Team Penske is going to compete for a championship this year. And they're a pretty high-class organization in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and don't think that they're not going to want to put one of their cars into the Final Four. The race, the cut line is just so close between Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Matt Kenseth. I mean, I just don't see any way that Joey Logano is going to make the Final Four if he doesn't go out there and have a spectacular race. And I just think Joey is one of those fast guys that's going to make it to where you don't really want to own Kevin Harvick. Like I said, I picked him as my burning rubber pick, but guys like Joey Logano are just going to be scary fast this weekend and are going to make life really, really tough on Kevin Harvick.
Yep, I completely agree. And another guy that's going to be scary fast this weekend is my burning rubber pick, and that's Matt Kenseth. He's my favorite of the JGR cars this week, and at $9,300, I think he's priced very nicely as well. Kenseth has been on a fantasy tear, and I expect it to continue this weekend at Phoenix. In his last 4 races, he has 74 fantasy points, a -6, 117, and is 40, paying off his salary in 3 of the last 4. I also like Carl Edwards. He's underpriced at 92, coming off the win, and he could be positioned to fight for a win, depending on if that win would keep 2 JGR cars advancing as well with him to the final round of 4. I love these JGR cars with their backs against the wall. You have to like Kenseth. You have to like Rowdy. You have to like Hamlin. They're all going to be extremely hungry to win the championship, and we've seen how fast these JGR cars have been all season long. And I would also say don't count out Truex because he'll have similar equipment. But I, as we saw last weekend, I don't know that he'll be able to get it done when it's all on the line. Like JGR will just make sure their cars get to the head of that alliance, in my opinion. So I would focus on those guys first. Then if you had money and time to spare and really felt good about Truex, then put Truex on a lineup. Your guys' thoughts?
I really like the Joe Gibbs cars, and they're just so dominant lately. They're usually look at Martinsville. Other than Jimmy Johnson, it was basically just a train of Gibbs cars, and those guys were so equal they couldn't hardly pass each other. And so they kind of tend to travel up through the pack together and make holes for each other. And when you get up inside the top 5 and you're racing around your teammates, life's actually a lot easier. I don't think the other guys are going to have this kind of luxury. I really, if I wasn't going to take Kevin Harvick as my burning rubber, I was probably going to take Rowdy. Kyle Busch I just feel like Kyle Busch is the guy that is going to take it away from Kevin Harvick this week. Rowdy is probably my pick to win the race just because I feel like the Gibbs cars are going to be so fast and they're going to need to be to dethrone Kevin Harvick. But you're right, the price on Matt Kenseth is just way too cheap. I mean, $9,300. I'll pay that all day for Matt Kenseth. He was, only $600 less when we were so happy about him, at the road courses. So I'm definitely on Matt Kenseth, and I want to try to get as many Gibbs guys as possible. And you can do that if you fade Harvick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as the Matt Kenseth play, man, I don't know what to think about Kenseth. So far this year, my luck with Kenseth, he's been the bane of my existence again this season. When I don't play him, he does good. When I do play him, he does crap. So it's like I don't know what to do. But they're on that fence too. I mean, they're looking to get to that final 4. And right now, looking at the points, he would be out because with the win with Edwards, that locks in Edwards and Johnson. So you got 2 spots left, but that's being occupied by Logano and Busch. So he's the odd man out right now. So they've got to do something here this weekend if they want to move on to the final 4. So I look for them to definitely push the envelope this weekend. I am with actually Adrian on this here, but I like Kyle Busch and his storyline this weekend. Now I know he costs a lot more than Matt Kenseth, almost $1,100 more, but sometimes you gotta make that call. But I'm definitely gonna be playing more Kyle Busch than I will be Matt Kenseth. But I still think that Matt Kenseth at a $9,300 price point is definitely going to be a play for sure. But what do you guys think his ownership percentage is going to be this weekend based on his price point?
Matt Kenseth, I'd say it's going to probably hover around about 22.
Yeah, like 15 to 22 is how all those JGR cars look that aren't named Kyle Busch. Basically, that's what we've seen all season. And Liehr, as long as you'll tell me right now and promise me that you won't roster Kenseth, I will, and that means I can have a profitable day. So just let me know if you start exposing yourself to Kenseth. Let me know. I will then know to get off of him. All right.
Here you guys go, exposing yourself to people.
Hey, sometimes you got to expose yourself to the right people.
Only Dan.
It's the crazy part is okay. So we went to Kansas and we got onto pit road. When they're interviewing Matt Kenseth. You could see us in the background. So you got Matt Kenseth there. And then everything else that happened from last year, from when he cost us the seat, and then everything this year where he's basically cost me a seat again this year. So Matt Kenseth and I have a love-hate relationship.
Well, fair enough. All right, man. So it's time to get to some value. Adrian, kick us off on the value train, man. Where are you going?
I'm going somewhere that, DraftKings has just given us a gift and we should all just accept it and not return it after Christmas is over. Because Kurt Busch is only $8,400 this week. Kurt Busch at only $8,400. The guy that's still fighting for his life in this championship hunt, he is the least amount of dollars you're going to spend for a chase guy. And also, he has to win to advance to the next round, just like we've talked about with a couple of these other guys. Like I said, his price is far too low. You expect to pay above $9K for a chase guy, and it's just not there for Kurt Busch. He has 27 starts at Phoenix, and that includes 16 top 10s. And the best part is, over his last 4 starts at Phoenix, he has finishes of 7th, 5th, 7th, and 6th. So obviously that kind of consistency is what you're going to need. The one thing that I will say about Kurt Busch is, since we're recording this before qualifying, Kurt Busch tends to qualify very well at Phoenix. He's just, for some reason, seems to qualify in the top 10 on a very consistent basis here. I would like to play Kurt Busch starting, around 15th if I could get him there. But I think 8th on back is going to be acceptable to play Kurt Busch this week because he is so cheap. And just think about this: if everyone's on Harvick so much, and you're looking for someone that you could kind of hedge your Harvick bets with, I would definitely look at Kurt Busch because he is the fastest of the other SHR cars, and he's definitely sharing some notes. I think Tony Gibson and Rodney Childers are definitely talking and sharing setups a little bit so they can try to get both of their cars into the next round. But yeah, I definitely like Kurt Busch. I think that his price and the consistency he has at Phoenix, and just the fact that he is shown that he can get this far into the chase, I think it just all bodes well for Kurt Busch.
How sick would that be if Kurt Busch wins this weekend, gets into the Final Four, and Harvick does not?
That would be awesome.
That would be life tilting over at Stewart-Haas Racing.
Yes.
And that would definitely make for some interesting in-house stuff going on there. Because you remember when Harvick, after Talladega, came out and punched Kurt Busch in the face in the side of his car?
It'd be instant karma.
Revenge and karma would it be?
Silent revenge, yeah.
Yes. And not only that, I mean, he's a Cubs fan. Cubs won the World Series. No, as far as Kurt Busch, I mean, $8,400 too. And talking about that whole same thing there, you're getting almost $2,000 difference between, Kevin Harvick. I mean, $2,200 difference. So, I mean, that's a lot of money that you can spend elsewhere on another driver this week for your salary. So, but Kurt Busch, he's got a lot of history here, 27 starts. I know he's only won once, but like Adrian said, he tends to qualify really well here and, finish kind of right around where he starts. He's got an average start of 12.1 and an average finish of 13.4. So I don't know. If he's a top 5, that would almost, for me anyways, would interest me even more, because then that means he's got a chance to get up there. And we've got 312 laps this weekend, boys. So that's a lot of laps led, fastest laps up for domination. So it's going to be pick your poison this weekend, but I definitely will have some exposure to Kurt Busch. But I think that it will be, one, a sneaky play, and 2, you're going to get a heck of a bargain on him this weekend.
Yep.
All right, man. See, I like the Kurt Busch play because I understand where you're at. The problem I'm having with the Kurt Busch play is, for some reason, Harvick looks like the only Stewart-Haas car that can run on the track. The other 3 just don't look like they're in the same equipment as Harvick. Otherwise, they should be running close to what he's doing, unless he's just that much better of a driver in subpar equipment, in which case you're conceding that they're all in subpar equipment, and then I don't want Kurt Busch, right? I'm not understanding, I'm not fundamentally understanding what's going on with Stewart-Haas Racing, and that is the problem I have with this play. If he looks good in qualifying, and if that car looks good at practice, then I'm back on the Kurt Busch train. But in the last 3 races, I haven't felt that car has looked even remotely like it can compete.
I will say I agree, Poppa. That car, I was embarrassed for the way that team ran last weekend. It was just pitiful. Kind of reminded me of the way Harvick ran at Martinsville. Just uncharacteristic of that race team. But, due to his price, and if we can get him starting outside the top 10, because he is a chase guy, I just felt like I had to pick him as my value pick, just because I feel like people needed to recognize how cheap this guy was this week.
No, dude, and I'm glad you did. And like we keep it real on this show, the reason why I'm flushing it out and arguing with why is because you labeled out the really good reasons why you'd want to be on him. I want to give all our viewers the really good reasons why you might want to think twice about making that play.
Yeah.
And honestly, because it's pre-qualifying and pre-practice, I don't know where I'm going to come down on this play. And that's why I wanted to flush this out for all our viewers. But I like where your head's at here, and I don't have a problem other than the way that car's looked over the last few weeks. Liehr, who's your pick for value, bud?
Well, I'm going to be going with this guy right here. I'm wearing the hat, but going to be going with Alex Bowman in the number 88. Alex has been doing okay filling in for Earnhardt this season since he's been out. But this week his cost is finally, DraftKings, thank you, has considered him in a good place to match kind of the driver that he is. But this week he's at a bargain cost of $6,900, like I said, for the first time all season, which is great, and super cheap driver for being in Hendrick equipment. But now let's get to a good few points about Alex Bowman, but also kind of tie that into the number 88 car itself. So, but Bowman, honestly, does not have the best track history here at Phoenix during his Sprint Cup career. But he's got a total of 4 starts. He's got 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 0 top 10s, with his best finish being 30th here at Phoenix. So not the best of stats for Alex Bowman, but he's got an average start of 33.2 and an average finish of 35.2. But out of all 4 of those races, 2 of those were with BK Racing, and the other 2 were with Tommy Baldwin Jr. Racing. So Bowman's obviously got the best, one of the best equipment around in the circuit underneath him this weekend. And Hendrick also has some really good and great finishes here at Phoenix as well. But also, too, let's not forget whose car this belongs to. It's the number 88. It belongs to Dale Earnhardt.
Defending race winner.
Correct. And Earnhardt has dominated here as of late. This spring, he started 26th and finished 5th. And last year, as Adrian just said, he won this race in this car last year at this time. In the last 8 races for the 88 here, he has had positive place differential 7 out of the last 88 times here. So that's a crazy stat that I love. But also Bowman will definitely be a toss-up when it comes to, how much his ownership is going to be, because depending on where he qualifies, he could be under-owned if he qualifies to, mid-tier, 8 to, 5 to 10, somewhere in there. But he could be over-owned if he starts 20th or worse. But I'm telling you right now, if he starts like in the top 5, I'll probably be off of him. I'll definitely be off Bowman. But if he starts 10th or later, I'm going to be on that play, because I think a lot of people won't be looking Alex Bowman's way this weekend at all. And I definitely like the number 88. It's not just about Alex Bowman. I know he's driving the car, but it's also about that race team and how the setups that they have here and all their notes and everything that they have about this racetrack. I definitely like the number 88 nationwide this weekend.
Yeah, Liehr, I think you're just right about the Bowman play. We finally got him priced in the right range. He's been performing well for fantasy purposes, and we know that he's a legitimate driver once given legitimate equipment, right? So all the past data is something that we can throw to the side, except for the past data of his 88 car. I think you're spot on there. Same crew chief, same crew working on that car, same setup for a car. I just think that we've seen, no matter what the track conditions are of that car or the type of aerodynamics packages for this track, they've excelled. They know how to race this track. I think Bowman's capable of doing this and will make a great value play this week. Adrian, your thoughts?
I think that he's definitely far too underpriced. He shouldn't be under 7K. He should definitely be over 7,500, just because he is driving the 88 car, and this team is so good. I mean, the driver is a lot of it, but it really helps to have that good of a race team behind you. And Alex is definitely trying to make the most of this opportunity, because this is the second to last time he'll ever drive this car. So to get this guy at under 7K, driving his heart out, I mean, more so than almost any other driver in the field that's not in the chase. I mean, I'm all over it. I love Alex Bowman. He's probably going to make it on to at least 75% of my lineups if he qualifies outside the top 10.
Agreed, man. And some other guys that you're going to use for fills are my value plays. And guys, since we're doing this before qualifying and before practices, I think it's just important to give you the list of the lot of them. Right? We've got Reagan, Scott, Buescher, McDowell, DiBenedetto. The most expensive of this group is Buescher at $64, and the cheapest is Matty DB at $5,100. Look for whatever value you need. Those are the standard guys. Don't try to deviate and get him worse equipment. Take the guys in the smart equipment. Just don't take them, as we've been preaching all year. Don't take them if they overqualify. But with that said, Adrian, your thoughts on the cheapies this week?
Oh, yeah. Well, my favorite one of the guys who are really cheap is finally over 6K, Mr. Michael McDowell. Congratulations to that team. Mm-hmm. God almighty. That guy is fun to play in fantasy. So Michael McDowell 6,100 this week. I really love Michael McDowell. Also really love Chris Buescher coming off that 19th place finish last week. I've always loved Michael Annett, even though we do think H. Scott Motorsports is closing its doors the season's end. To touch on what Poppa said, I like all those guys: Reagan, DiBenedetto, Brian Scott, Regan Smith. The problem here is, I got to tell people, I refuse to play guys like Jeffrey Earnhardt, DJ Kennington, Reed Sorensen, Josh Wise. I'm not playing these guys because they start the race down 3 cylinders pretty much, it seems like. There's just no way. These guys aren't going to keep up the whole race. They're going to, they just have no upside. If you're just wasting a spot in your lineup. If you're going to really, really try to punt and you're going to try to get the cheapest driver possible, the cheapest driver that I would allow myself to buy is Michael Annett. I would not go any farther than that.
And to be honest, to be comfortable, I'm at DB and no below. Liehr?
Well, the crazy part is if you go back and you look at some of the tournaments the last couple weeks, and 2 weeks in a row, the person that has actually won the qualifiers has had Michael Annett on the team every time, because that allows them to get those more upper tier drivers and get more of them on their rosters when they use a guy like Annett. So Annett is like their one pump play, and then they spread it out through there. But so don't always just look at the guy and look at the racer and say, okay, well, this guy's just going to do crap, so I'm just going to avoid him. Well, if he gets 2 places, because I think last week he only scored like 20 points, but that's all you needed. That's all you ever need from a guy like this. Actually, I love how Poppa just picked all the drivers down there to just say, okay, choose your poison. But I get it when we're doing it before qualifying. But actually, one person I really want to talk about too, that I know I had Bowman as my value guy, but I also think you should need to take a serious look at the number 10 in Danica Patrick this week as well. It's not every week we get to talk about Miss Danica Patrick, but just look at her last 4 races here. She's got positive place differential 3 out of the last 4 with the spring race. She started 36th and finished 19th. And then last year, this race, she started 21st and finished 16th. So, and she's only $6,200, guys. So make sure you look at Danica Patrick and see where she starts, because she's cheaper than Chris Buescher. She's $100 more expensive than McDowell, but she's in better equipment than McDowell, and she's only $300 more than Casey Mears and $400 more than Brian Scott. So take a serious look at Danica Patrick, and specifically after qualifying and practice, because she could be a main staple this weekend.
Fair enough, dude. I'm not sure that after the McDowell teams got tuned up that she is in better equipment than McDowell's team anymore. Like, at least
McDowell's nasty, dude.
Right, that car has gotten nasty and has been awesome for fantasy purposes.
Love that guy.
The best part too is that guy.
The reason why I have to give you a list of guys, especially when I'm covering the cheap guys, is I'm not a tout. I'm not going to go out here and tell you to play Chris Buescher 100% of the time without having no qualifying data or analysis. Like, dude, without qualifying, all these guys can be anywhere from a garbage play that you would never make to a play that you have to make. And it's just, I refuse to do that to people that are viewing our show. It's more important to me to give quality fantasy advice than it is to be like, I'm 100% convinced, even though I'm wrong and will never play that person 100% of the time. You will never hear that kind of stuff come out of my mouth.
Rain Man.
Right? Yeah, man. Like, you have fun being the Rain Man and see how many times it burns you. Like, I was just like, it's a terrible place to play from in fantasy, and you will light money on fire doing it. Is what I like. Keep trying to.
You're not going to tell people what they like to hear, like Donald Trump.
Wow, it went there, didn't it? All right. Speaking of which, I think it's a good.
We're about to fire in early. We still got a couple more months before it actually.
Well, right. I think that's a perfect transition for going to the garage.
Yeah, speaking of going to the garage, a guy that I could walk up to and say you're fired is Clint Boyer. The guy's definitely going to lose this. He's going to lose this job at least at the end of the season when he signs a new contract with Stewart-Haas Racing at season's end. And I think that H. Scott Motorsports is going to be doing a lot of Donald Trump impersonations when they walk up to each employee telling them they're fired because the team is closing at the end of the year. So they'll be selling that charter to another up-and-coming race team, and probably the 77 of Eric Jones. I just don't see a reason that you're going to pay $7,100 for Clint Boyer this week. I understand Clint Boyer is a world-class stock car driver, and he's definitely not in the equipment that he needs to be in. But next year he will be, and all will be right in the world if you're a Bowyer fan. But in my opinion, DraftKings just hasn't had it right for a single race for Clint Bowyer all season long. I mean, the car is coming out of the same shop as Michael McDowell, who is priced, usually around 4,800, and Clint's always above 7K, unrightfully so. So I don't know if Clint's like feeding money to DraftKings, like so they can like up his like rating or something. Like NFL players want their Madden rating increased. Clint's like, all right, let's raise my salary a little bit. Let's stop playing games. So I mean, I don't know. I just don't see it. There's a lot of guys I could have picked for my going to the garage, but I'm not going to play Clint Bowyer.
Yeah, I mean, my hatred for Bowyer, but guy's got 22 starts here. He's only got 2 top 5s, and that's even with including all of his Richard Childress time and Michael Waltrip time. So he just 3 DNFs. Average start averages about where he finishes. So I'm just not even going to mess with the Clint Bowyer play this week. No thanks.
I did want to say that Clint Bowyer definitely in 2012 when he was chasing Jeff Gordon down, that's the fastest he'll ever run at Phoenix.
Right. I have zero reason to think that zero reason to play him this weekend unless something crazy happens and he qualifies like low 30s and you just have to make the play place differential wise. Other than that, I'm looking forward to not playing him for the rest of this NASCAR season and waiting until he gets into a better piece of equipment. Liehr, who are you sending to the garage this week, buddy?
My going to the garage this week, I'll be going with the number 17 and Sticky Ricky. He's been going through a lot of lately there in the number 17 team. And, they're ready for their season to be over to, basically forget how well – you guys remember how well they started out the 2016 season and then kind of forget about how horribly they've ended the 2016 season.
Doesn't that go for all of Roush Fenway?
Yeah.
It cuts very deep, Jamie.
Oh, yeah. Well, me as a Ford is my number one manufacturer that I like the most. It does hurt. But
I drive a Ford.
Well, same here, but he has not done well. This latter part of the season. Specifically more at these short tracks, which Phoenix is somewhat similar to Martinsville. Where he hopped the wheel a couple weeks ago and crashed into the wall, and he was already starting late in the field because he was already in a backup car. His last 2 races, both times here at Phoenix, he finished 37th. In the spring and finished 41st this time last year here at Phoenix. At $7,300, I can spend my salary somewhere else and get my team better. And even if he does qualify horribly, even in the 30s, I'm still going to not consider him at all because there's just so many other options and out there for that money for $7,300. That team's already shipped in their ballot for the 2016 Sprint Cup champion, and they are definitely ready for some new change. So I don't know if you guys see what I did there. Just don't play Sticky Ricky this weekend, and you'll be happy with your balloting decision.
Yeah, boys, is he driving the Zest paint scheme again this week? Do we know?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we have.
Well, I think that paint scheme is actually fitting for him because Sticky Ricky is the type of driver that you're either going to come out smelling rosy clean and that nice fresh smell, or you are going to have the bar in your mouth like when you were a kid, gnawing on it for saying a cuss word, and it is going to taste awful and leave a terrible taste in your mouth. I don't know where. Martinsville. Right, I have no idea where I'm going to land on Sticky Ricky at this point in time. I never do, and even when I roster the guy, I hate that I've rostered him, and when I don't roster him, I hate that I haven't rostered him. Thus is Sticky Ricky. I like where your head's at, Liehr, but at this point, I can't say whether or not I'm going to play him or not.
Well, and this is the same guy. Let's not forget that had a second place finish at a short track at Bristol this year. So where did you go, Ricky?
Where do we go now? I don't know where Ricky Stenhouse is, and I just don't really understand the reason that someone would pay $7,300 for him. There's definitely better places to spend your money this week. Spend a little more. Get a guy like Kurt Busch or Chase Elliott, who has the speed to go up there and lead laps. or save some money and get a guy like Alex Bowman. And if you really want a Roush Fenway car, Trevor Bayne's a lot cheaper than Ricky Stenhouse is, and I think he's a better driver too. But who am I to say?
Right.
No, you don't say.
Hey guys, I'm gonna save this last one real quick for you. Austin Dillon at 8,200. I've already told you why. He's also too expensive, and his last fantasy performance was a -17, which is always golden. So yeah, trust me, like we said last week, fade Austin Dillon again, and you'll be fine. If you know anything, from Top Gun, dude, Maverick's lost it, dude. He's dangerous. He's writing checks his body can't cash.
He's gone nose down.
He's lost that loving feeling.
When he flies, he's dangerous. He makes it unsafe. Unsafe for everyone.
Take that silver spoon out of his mouth and smack Harvick with it.
All right, guys. Now that we've sent everybody to the garage, I'm not even going to let the guys comment on it because I know they're all in agreement there. So let's go ahead and get to the lineup for this week. It will be in the 10K lug nut. Remember not to copy this lineup. The purpose is to show you our thought process in going through creating a lineup. So, boys, where do we want to start this week?
We want to start this with an anti-Harvick campaign. It's a political season, so let's just start an anti-Harvick campaign right now.
I like it.
All right, so we're not Harvicking. I still need somebody to throw on the lineup, though. That doesn't help me create a lineup.
Well, it definitely saves you some money. It's a really tough choice, but like I said earlier, I think Kyle Busch is going to be the one that wins this race in the end. So I would put Kyle Busch on this team if I were starting to make a lineup.
All right, you know what, dude? We're going to let you do that since you sacrificed it. Took one for the team and talked Harvick because I got tired of talking about Harvick, personally. All right, Liehr, who's your pick, buddy? Who would you throw on this lineup that we're starting with Kyle Busch?
I'll roll with the deuce.
The 22. Enjoy Logano.
Wrapped up like a double, dude.
You boys are wanting to spend some money today. All right, you know what? Like, why not continue the money? Guys, and remember, we have not seen qualifying. So if this lineup doesn't make sense post-qualifying, please forgive us. I want to Casey Kane it up, man. That guy is just not letting me down.
I love that play, man. I picked him as my value pick the past 2 weeks, and I really wanted to pick him again on the show this week.
We rolled
because he's just been paying off, man.
We rolled Casey Kane as like our value play and advocated on this show for basically, I believe, the last 6 weeks, and he's been nothing but awesomeness. It may be a little less than that, but yeah. So let's go ahead and roll with our stock boy Casey Kane there, who is also on our better lineup.
I'm glad you said that because Casey deserves mentioning on this show.
All right, that's back.
He's definitely been off.
What was that, Liehr?
You said he's been everything but awesome, except maybe a little bit short of that. So I gave you some short of that.
Okay.
Oh man,
wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
You are really encyclopedia to figure out when you got that joke from.
Dude, he's working on his dad jokes. That's what that is. That is dad jokes right there.
That's a dad joke right there.
All right, Adrian. Adrian, where's the next pick going, buddy? We have $7,133 remaining per pick.
If you're really looking at it, if you guys think we can afford it, let's just go ahead and roll the Busch brothers.
Yeah, we can easily afford both of them. I'll go ahead and make my punt play so Liehr has tons of money left. So I will go ahead and dude, McDowell has not let us wrong. Like, that leaves Liehr 6,900 on down, and I know what he's gonna say. So go ahead and say it, brother.
Take it.
Alex Bowman.
Bowman the showman.
Watch, dude, we just put together this lineup without any qualifying. It's going to be our best lineup of the NASCAR season.
It is. Like, I'm definitely using this lineup.
I love this lineup. This is crazy.
All right, when Poppa tells you guys not to copy this lineup, like, he really means it this time. Like, the other times, yeah, it's just for show. But, like, this time, like seriously, like, knock it off.
Right, like, we shouldn't have probably given you this lineup.
We should probably re-record this segment, but we'll give it to them because they watched the show this far.
Right. All right, so that's Kyle Busch, Logano, Kane, Kurt Busch, McDowell, and Alex Bowman, and it spends everybody your salary, and it is really sexy. So with that said, I think that's going to wrap up another episode of the Rubbin' is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We wanted to thank you all for tuning in. As always, I'll let the boys say their goodbyes, and we'll go ahead and get out of here. How about that? Adrian, say goodbye.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. I hate that we couldn't have got this video out to you after we watched qualifying, but we're glad that we could get it out to you. And I will somewhat regretfully say, I will say this because I believe that, everyone should be a nation united. Whether anyone likes it or not, Donald Trump is our president come January. We're just going to have to learn to grow together and become great as the nation, whether you support him or not. You have to support yourself and your common man.
Well said, Adrian.
Well said, sir.
Jamie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to take my hat off to you and me and the rest of us that do the show. Unfortunately, we got second place last week for the qualifier, so another year down from not making the qualifier, but close, but no cigar. We had plenty of weeks where we were close, but we'll nail it definitely for sure. But I want to say thanks for you guys for watching each and every single week, and we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember, like Adrian just summed up pretty much exactly what I wanted to say about the election, so we'll leave that at that. Remember, guys, we're still giving away that sweet Biffle autograph diecast. If the Biff can get top 10 this week, if not, we'll do it for somebody in Homestead, Miami. But remember, to qualify for that, you have to like, you have to comment on it. Last week we only had a few comments. Had Biff got it done, there was only a couple people that would have been in the contention. So if you want to be in contention for that sweet autographed Biffle SpongeBob SquarePants car, make sure you comment and like the show. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We know you're spending time with us, and we appreciate it. Hopefully we're making a lot of money playing Fantasy NASCAR together. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody.